Hey guys, good morning, good morning. I'm just fluffing around a little bit, just trying to work out what I can do with backgrounds and so forth. With this, I've ended up in my bedroom because it's holidays here, so my girls are slumbering on the couch in the lounge room and I don't want to wake them. But I just felt I needed to have a live chat today, and I'm going to go with that flow. I've got a few things on the side here with the restream, and I'm just trying to figure out what I can do to make this maybe look a little bit more professional for you guys as well. Yeah, so we're actually in my bedroom at the moment. Put up a kind of a makeshift backdroppy thing here, which doesn't really reach very far. Just try a couple of, there's some backgrounds here, but I don't think they're working. Not really sure how that goes. In any case, I will start with my introduction, and by 7 o'clock, which is in another 10 minutes or so, we will get into the topic. And the topic today is creation, which is obviously a huge topic, but with the experiences that I've had, and I know how I want to share what I have. I don't have all of the pieces, but I do have some valuable information from my journeys of my life. I don't proclaim to know everything. Everybody's unique in who they are, and everybody's story is valuable. I don't judge anyone else's story. I don't compete with anybody else's story. Their story is absolutely valid to everything that is creation. So why would I judge a part of myself that is experiencing something different and maybe at the other end of the scale to what I even know? This is a learning thing of where we can take ourselves. It's a learning experience of where we can take ourselves, of what we can create on this world. And it is important to validate everybody's experiences. So no judgments, no worries if you've got a totally different story and I don't resonate with you. You know, that's absolutely fine. If you're still curious to see where I'm going, you know, just keep following. But if you feel it's not for you, you know, please, you know, don't feel bad for moving on. I'm sure you won't. Well, I won't, because we are all unique in bringing in different, creations and stories for the whole of us to experience. A butterfly is not going to be jealous of a lizard. It's not going to be jealous of a horse. You know, these sort of things. These things just exist because we as oneness want to be able to experience those things, to experience being a butterfly and being a horse. So there's no shame in being the whole of who you are and the experiences you have as a human being and what's brought you to your wisdom and your finding. I feel within my life this is the most empowered I have ever been. I'm not in fear anymore of my future, and I think that because of that I have this strength to get out into the world and hopefully help others become the person that they want to be, you know, the enlightened person that they want to be as well. Hey, Ford. He's going to sleep. So yeah, other side of the world. Yeah, so there's interesting things happening at the moment. I'm going to get into that a bit more soon. We've still got another 8 minutes to go. If I channel through something, I channel through something. I really felt I needed to say that. So I'm just going to let you guys see and experience a little bit of what I've created. I showed you my books on a couple of other sites. So this is Imagine Holding Hands. This is a book for 0+, and it is I did everything from, creating the pictures to the sketches to all of the photography and everything in it. This is a place called Crystal Castle in New South Wales. Beautiful place to go visit if you're ever in New South Wales and in Australia. Just masses of crystals around there. They actually sold this book for me and sold quite a few hundred of them. Yeah, the Palladium page, the dolphins, asking questions, opening up the intuitive mind of a child. This picture here was taken at Steve Irwin's farm in Australia. Just before this picture happened, my daughter is extremely different, and both my girls, my other daughters, are grounded for her and amazing. She can prophesize things, but this was taken just before this was taken. A huge spirit ball came down. This is just after Steve Irwin had passed away. I think so. Which was another completely other different story. I must show you some of my artwork, because I dreamt of his passing about 6 months before he died, and actually painted the picture of his heaven. I'll show you that another day. But this day, my daughter was playing with the wallabies that are there, and I was a bit of a distance away just watching on, and we were having a picnic. And I noticed she was talking to one of the wallabies. And then she sat down by a rock, and the wallaby started, eating. And I said to her, "Hey, Avalon, I'm creating this book, Imagine Holding Hands. Do you think you could, go and stand by the wallaby for me, and maybe even hold hands?" She goes, "Yep, I could do that." And she walked up to this wallaby, and she just stood beside him and held his hand, and he led her. And I've never seen a wallaby do that. Afterwards, another time we went back, and she tried with another wallaby, and she goes, "Oh no, that's not the same wallaby. That can't happen," because they just ran away. But this wallaby just had something in his eye, and he connected with Avalon that day. So I put that in the back of my book. This is my other daughter when she was little. Gorgeous girls. And I also have another daughter who's a scientist over in Sweden. She's a lot older. And this is Jonah and Kitty, Timekeeper's Void, connecting two realities together, getting the children to realize that they are empowered, that they can still their mind and create new things. So yeah, all my artwork in here. So little badger and quail is quail. Yeah, so anyway, that's this book says, what if Earth is connected to many other dimensions and realities where animals can talk and different beings exist? What if everybody on Earth held the secret to connect to these other realities? The adventures of Jonah and Kitty are the start of this quest, and you, the reader of this book, are the true beginnings of a whole new world full of magic. So that's what that's about. And I have these interesting, finally found my fortune dice. My book's a little bit skewed, but it's just a paper book at the moment, with all of the, so it's sort of like tarot cards, but with dice. And I just found, you know, I created these, must have been about 15 years ago now. So yeah, yeah. So these are the dice. Oops. And they each have numbers and little pictures that I created as well. Not sure if you can see. So say for instance, that's number 1. Yeah. And they're a bit of fun to play with. Hey, kitty cat. So I've got a cat on my lap. He's attacking. And this is something else that I created as well. These are to help with reading, knowing what's on the other side of the card. So on the other side of the card, we have all of these different shapes and colors. And then what you do is you put them out on the ground face down, and you feel into what color they are. Like it could be yellow, or you know, it could be rainbow color. So for the rainbow color, I've got the rainbow lorikeet, all sorts of colors, and what shape is on them. So you've got your stars, and you've got your hearts, and so forth. And yeah, like you put them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down on the ground, and then you flip them over after you've said it's an orange and it's a heart, and it just gives you like you know, realization. What it's kind of like what you feel when you let go and you just trust that you're absolutely going to get it right. That's when it tends to happen. When you say I'm going to get this, it's usually when it doesn't happen for you, because you're trying, and you can't get anything when you're trying. You don't try to. I don't try to pick up my coffee cup. I just pick up my coffee cup. I just know that I'm going to be able to hold it in my hand. I don't think about it. Thinking isn't part of knowing. It's a cup of tea. Hey, Moon. So good to see you here. Love the colors. That's so cool. There's I haven't actually created these cards and the dice yet. Like I have, but I haven't like manufactured them yet. I can manufacture the dice, but yeah, I have to get back into all of that sort of stuff. At the moment, I'm focusing on my website. I'm also an intuitive counselor. So on my website, and I've put a link already to intuitive counseling, I tap into where you're at, and as your energy, and where you're going, and what's in front of you, and what we can do to enhance your life and clear your blocks and bring you out, and you know what can we're really looking at the in-depth of your soul and your mission and who you really generally are when you come to me as an intuitive counselor. And then hopefully by the end, which has happened quite a lot with some people, like I've had people come to me and take a session, and I have absolute fear and anxiety of the future, and I'm like, and then everything starts mucking up for me just before I get online for them, and I'm like, oh, I feel this anxiety. You know, they'll say things like, oh yeah, that's how I feel. By the end of it, we've found their mission, we've found exactly who they are, we've found out, you know, so they have no fear in stepping forward. So that's what the intuitive counseling side does. That's $40 for 30 minutes and for $80 for an hour, just so you know. So yeah, now we returned to 7 o'clock. Let's get into what I was really here for today. So last night I started getting a few downloads and remembering about creation, and I started realizing this is something that's important for us all at the moment. If you don't already know, I'm a seer. I've seen all sorts of beings, and they've come to me over the span of like 30 years and given me a lot of information. And also at the beginning of this year, 9 months ago, over 29th of March, I had an experience where I met Oneness. So I know what Oneness feels like. And the whole thing with these experiences, like being taken into future possibilities of Earth and where we can actually go, and taken to Pleiades, and it's not necessarily being taken there like reading a story. It's the feeling that I hold. The feeling is something then that I have within me, and it's a vibration that I can send out to the world. So I know that this is important. From the reason why I actually got to see and feel Oneness 9 months ago is because I know I was told in 9 months' time we would be experiencing what was like giving birth. Earth was going to start giving birth to a whole new experience. And with that birth comes something brand new. And with that, humanity is going to reawaken the parts of themselves that are asleep. Now, I always talk about left and right brain because I find it easier logically for humans, for us to be able to handle left and right brain and all that. But if you actually went inside the brain, there's parts of the left, there's parts of imagination within the left, and parts of, they both carry different bits of that, this experiences, but mainly the logical side is on the left side and the imaginative, intuitive side is on the right side, which is the bit that was shut down. And just like if you had a little beetle that had a wing that was flying around, and you injected one of the wings with a sleeping tonic, then it's just going to start going around in circles. So that's what humanity has been doing with just the logic. But if you really think about it, look what humanity has created with hardly any imagination and intuition being awake. Look at what we have created. Like, can you imagine or can you or can't you imagine what we are going to step into when we start to really embrace that intuitive side of ourselves and stop fighting and warring within ourselves to express who we truly are. There will be no need for leaders or anything like that. So let's go to source energy. So at the very start, sorry, my cat's moving. At the very start, excuse me, I am in my bedroom today. I'll just recap that because I have my children slumbering in the lounge room. It's holidays at the moment over here. At the very start of creation, we were just love. It was just love. There's just this knowing of the most extraordinary love, and knowing that we could create anything from that love. But to create anything from love, we needed to experience the feeling of who we were as love. So to do that, it's like this. I'm trying to put it in simplistic terms because this is energy and it's beyond our mind's capability at the moment. But if you just imagine a ball of love, of light, of colors and beautifulness that's just swirling around, and electricity and awesome, just being and feeling euphoric and accepting everything about ourselves as one, and then going, I want to experience who I am. So there was a split within consciousness, and in that split, one side of us, and this is all of creation, didn't know what the other side was thinking or feeling anymore, and the other side didn't know the other side. So one would encapsulate the imagination and all of that. And there would be always a link to source energy in the whole, and the remembering of oneness and love and who they were. And the other side was into more creating the materialistic side and all of that sort of stuff. So like the first split, I feel, was what we are uniting now. And that's why I find humanity is so extraordinary in this huge shift, and why we have so many beings looking upon us at the moment, because that first split happened, then more splits happened, then more splits, and so we created all these diverse beings and planets and everything. So I'm coming from energy here. I'm not coming from the left logical side or the left brain. I'm coming from energy. So there was stories developing and unique blissfulness, and then the darks and the depths of being separated from ourselves. And so all of these things just kept on, like jumping out and exploring, and energy and stories. And this is creation of ourselves. And it formed that donut shape that I keep talking about, that torus, kind of a donut shape of our journey and our breadth of who we are. And then within that split, we became more and more and more. And then we wanted to come back to ourselves. And it was like the journey of, okay, can we come back to ourselves? And so we started getting to a point where we did, where we had explored this, that, and the other. Everything is going to keep, even though we're coming back to ourselves, we're going to go back out again and explore something new, so that nothing is like stagnant or staying still, like a logical mind likes to put everything in its place. And everything is moving in, there's always parts of ourselves that's starting evolutioning again. There's always parts of ourselves that's splitting up again. And there's always so everything is just part of the whole and part of one, and all happening at the same time. It's very, very hard to explain. I hope I'm doing a good job here. And then what we did is, in this reality, in our reality, one being became very, very creative, but very weak within themselves. So they created and created and created and created. And I was told, was liar and vegans beings, and they come to the kind of like the top of their pinnacle. And when they did that, it's like they've created themselves to so much that they hadn't, there was no diversity coming in. And then on the other side of the coin, so to speak, or in another dimension, was the consumers, the draconians, they consume. And that, so us as source energy thought, let's bring those two beings together. So of course the consumers ended up attacking the creators, and the creators ended up going out into a voyage to try to strengthen their bloodline, and they ended up finding Earth as well. And these being the consumers had already tapped into into Earth as well. So there was like Earth had ended up having both sides of the coin. The drastic, like, completely opposite sides of ourselves in one, and humanity ended up embracing that oneness. So the first lesson that we had to learn through the split of consciousness is all about our imagination and our logic, our source, our connection to source and God, and our intuition, and what we can explore that way. And we got to the point of getting to that so far, and then we decided, okay, we've had enough of this lesson. This lesson's kind of taking us away from source energy. We're creating, without any sort of compassion for the logical side of ourselves, for the material and the story and the logic of the story line. So that slowly, over the space of quite a few hundred years, was weeded out. And that's when, the witches were persecuted, and and everybody started feeling like, oh my God, it's doom. You know, we're not connected to source anymore. We're split away. The intuitive side's been poo-pooed. The imaginative side's been poo-pooed. And, you know, we're not allowed to do that anymore. And it's all to do with logic. So that next thousands of years, we were all to do with logic. And that was a valuable lesson to us to remind us what logic can do, the valuableness of logic, because remember, these are two parts of our coin that we need to learn about. Now we've learnt both, and we've come to the point where we're in the quickening, we're inside that donut shape, and when we get to that source connection in the middle, which we are coming to very, very close, and this is what everything is reflected outside of ourselves. This point of creation is us uniting back both sides of ourselves again. And this is us coming home. Now, when we come home to ourselves, we're authentic. We embrace all aspects of ourselves. There is no negative aspect of yourself. There's no wrongfulness. There's no, oh, you talk too much. Oh, no, it's experience. You know, whether you are born even as a handicapped person, it's an experience. Whether you're born blind, whether you're born, it doesn't matter. It's part of the experience of what Source wanted to feel into and what that experience was, and it's valuable for the whole. And you know, some of us have been coded to wake up earlier than others to just help shift that energy into, you know, where do we want to go? Asking, like for me, it's a genuine, heartfelt connection with the whole of everything in reality, and with that, I know that everybody has a piece of the puzzle to create something brand new, and I don't know all those pieces. So there's just this. When you get to source energy, it's just I could say just, but I remember walking down the street and feeling like, oh my God, I've created all of this. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. Look what we've done. It didn't matter if it's just logic or not logic or what it was. And it was really, really valuable. I wish I could just, you know, flick a switch and let you guys know this feeling, because you will understand completely where I'm coming from. But I'll dance sometimes, and that feeling will just flow out of me out to the world. And I know that there's other people doing the same thing. So you might be driving in a car or something, and all of a sudden, oh, I feel this blissful feeling. Well, that blissful feeling is us aligning together, and you have that nice, oh, wow, bliss happening. I don't know if you guys have felt like that bliss feeling. Hey, Holly. But that feeling is oneness, and that's where we're going. So yeah, once we come to that oneness, then we're not poo-pooing anything that who we are. We're acknowledging that our story is valuable to the whole, and that we're not coming down on ourselves anymore. We're not getting negative with ourselves anymore, because there is no negative apart from what we do to ourselves, which pulls us away from love of consciousness anyway. So once we start allowing our every single thought, you know, I'm sitting here talking and mistakes are happening, but I'm just going with the flow and allowing my mind to say it's okay. It's okay that I'm, you know, that some people might not understand this, that I'm going over a topic or whatever. I just allow these things to happen. So when you're in a mindset of coming down on yourself, that's when things start going wrong for you again, and you feel that yuck feeling about yourself, where what we're doing is we're coming back to loving ourselves as a whole person, and that is source, that's oneness, that's connection back to source, and acknowledging our intuitive, imaginative side to express itself again and not be poo-pooed for thinking such thoughts or doing such actions. And also allowing our logical side to bring it into reality and create the storyline from point A to point B. And from that point, you'll start to feel within you a center of who you are and what your mission is and who you're about, what you're about. And that has no fear in it because you're not coming down on yourself for that expression of your soul anymore. So every step you take, you start becoming more excited and happy within yourself. And you could be, presenting a show or creating something, or you could just be gardening. You could be, I love doing housework. You could be a logical person who loves being a business-minded person and helping people with the logical side of life. You could be anything, but you are embracing who you are and knowing 100% that this is part of the whole experience of who we are. So then everybody starts positioning themselves in the right place. No one would take a job as a garbage disposal worker if they were meant to be, presenting live. And no one would do the opposite job of who they really are anymore. No one would be just doing jobs for survival anymore, because our soul will take us in this beautiful kind of a story of what our mission is, of who we are, of what we want to experience for source energy to flow through us. And this is how we change the world. This is how this earth starts shifting, because we start waking up, and then we other people will see us wake up, and then they'll start saying, well, how do you do it? And you say, I just started loving who I was. I just embraced all. I don't talk negatively to myself anymore. I'm valuable, and you know what? You are too. And I go, yeah, but I'm just, I just post mail for a job. I'm not. Yeah, but do you love posting mail? Yeah, I actually don't mind it because blah 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 blah, and I have all these reasons. Well, keep going that way. Just don't poo-poo for it. Just be embracing in every single moment of who you are. And then, maybe they don't want to be the mailman anymore when they really get to the crux of the enjoyment of who they are inside, and they might be something, totally different, and go talk to insects, and all these other different things will start flowing out of us because we're no fear of being being able to talk to animals. We're not putting ourselves down for exploring telekinesis. We're not putting ourselves down for any of that anymore. There is no limitation. There's no limitation to our experience on earth and our imagination, and it's so beautiful. And this is oneness. This is our expression of being human, and we are shifting then all those other beings that played a part in breeding and breeding us and becoming part of who we are, and they see us and they realize their experience to the whole was so important, and they shift their vibration, and even the draconians and the reptilians and all of that side. What they're doing at the moment is trying to split off from this beautiful experience and stay in control and in power, thinking that's the point of bliss. But it's not. It's actually further away from source energy. So they're trying to hold on to that side of the stuff. But I have been told that just like giving birth, you have a beautiful baby born here and you have a placenta born here, which is like 1/3 of the whole thing, goes back to the start of evolution and maybe carries the vibration of all of evolution, starting for us to be able to play with and create as oneness. So it's all valid. and there is no wrong and there is no right, and we cannot be poo-pooing people anymore. Yeah, like I know I still go back into stories sometimes, and I'll see things that, every now and then I'll slip and go into the storyline of, but the politicians are doing this and don't do this, because I want to wake up people to realizing, that the right path is not to take, outside influences that are trying to control them and tell them who they are and what their experience should be anymore. I'm exploring, and even when I post anything, it's always from love. There is nothing that I post that isn't from the love of who I am. Sandra, hey. Paula, nice to see you. It's just good to see you guys. I hope that this kind of gives you guys a little bit more information about who you are and where you can go with yourself. Maybe just what I would do if you're not sure about, where you're at, that one not sureness is you coming down on yourself, for starters. So I would just sit down and just say to myself, you know what, no matter what mistake I make, it's okay. I just keep telling myself that there is no mistakes anyway. If you are dancing, say for instance, if you're free dancing in your lounge room and all of a sudden you did a little trip, just embrace it. Wow, I did a little trip. How cool is that? I had an experience of, that feeling. And that's what I share with Source, with Oneness, and it's fine. That you're starting to love yourself. You're coming to the center of yourself. You don't poo-poo anything that you do anymore. There is no negative thought thinking within yourself. And within that, there is an immense power and freedom of who you are. No one can control something of you that you don't allow them to control. So once you're in this happy space, you're out of the vibration of somebody trying to control you, because you've accepted yourself and you drive yourself towards more and more happiness. So every time something negative is out there in the big bad world kind of thing, and they're trying to enforce their power on you, you turn a different corner and you go this way. So for instance, you might go camping when something happens to your house, gets burnt down. So you're always fine, and then all of a sudden you'll turn another corner because you're always loving yourself, right? And then somebody says, hey, I actually had 2 houses, and here you can shift into this house, and it's just sitting there anyway. And that sort of thing will happen. It just there is no disasters, there's nothing. Everything that you do from the point of love of yourself drives yourself to more of loving yourself. It's a hard one to explain, but this is how it happens. This is how it works, and this is how it happens. This is how we start waking up the rest of the world, because we keep on moving towards our happiness. Hey, Carrie is my sister. I love you. Oh, so good to see you guys here. So I'm hoping that you guys realize that creation is more than what you thought it was. I hope you go back, if you just come in and you've only seen part of this. I'm just kind of wrapping up now part of this beautiful story of creation. Go back to the beginning of it. I've kind of brought you through from the start to the center and the story that we're in now, and how to get ourselves out of it, and start embracing our beautiful intuitive side of ourselves again, so that we can come full center and create something brand new. I hope that this makes sense for you, but if it doesn't, and and you have a totally different story within your mind, please embrace that story. That story is valuable for you and for the whole. It is part of this of oneness, Remember, there's no wrong. You are valid in what you've had and what you've experienced. But please, from now on, just keep moving towards loving yourself. You are so valuable. Thank you. Bye.